Animal Crossing is a better game now. There's more to do, more to customise, more control over everything. And despite all of that, it doesn't feel as real as it used to. You see, in older Animal Crossing games, you didn't control everything. The town layout given to you was random. Villagers came and went as they pleased. There was very little to stop them if they did want to leave. And so you ended up having to adapt to what the game gave you. The game made it feel like a place that you moved into. It wasn't just something that you would build. But in Animal Crossing New Horizons, the entire island is in your hands. You design the island, you decide where everything goes, you decide who stays and who leaves, where they live, what they can do, and in essence, it's become less about how the world keeps living while you're not there, and more about what you want to do while you are there. It's you that shapes the entire experience. And while that sounds better, it has actually changed the feeling of what the game is over time. If, like me, you're a fan of what the original games were designed to be, then New Horizons can feel a little bit like it's in a different genre. A game less about the friends you make and more about the town that you can create. Because what we've ended up with is a world that stops feeling independent and starts to feel like a project. Going back to the older titles, the original games never really gave you any objectives. Aside from completing your part-time job, after moving into your house, you would just get up and go out and make your own goals. You would wake up every morning, talk to the villagers, you might decorate your house, you might go and catch some fish, or just relax a little bit, take in the atmosphere. Whatever you wanted to do, you would just go and do. And the best bit is like, that was enough. Now, however, there are just systems upon systems, layers upon layers, all on top of everything else. It's almost as if the game doesn't trust you anymore to just slow down. Exactly like the relaxing nature that Animal Crossing was designed to be. Instead, you've now got daily tasks, recurring tasks, unlockable achievements, progression systems, and there's so much crafting that you're always thinking about what the next thing you're going to make is, or what type of thing you want to design. You're always working towards something. And that has subtly shifted the experience from living in harmony, living inside of the world, to controlling all aspects of it. You know, when I was a kid, I'd sit there at school, not even playing the game, just wondering what was happening in my town. What were my villagers doing? Had anything changed? Was there somebody special visiting my town? But instead, you know, the Animal Crossing series now, it feels a bit less alive. There's more checklisty items to do, and you know, even the villagers do less while you're gone. And when you do talk to them, all sense of personality has been stripped away, and they just feel more like backdrop material to the town that you get to decorate. The main emphasis is on the decoration, not the town and the friends and the villagers that are living inside of it. And it comes back to one of the ways our world is changing. You see, old Animal Crossing games like the GameCube original, Wild World, even City Folk on the Wii, they were quiet. They weren't silent, but they were calm. There were long stretches where nothing happened. It was just you walking around, existing in your village. And then we have modern Animal Crossing. Something like New Horizons. It fills all of that empty space. It adds more systems. There's more things to do. There's more of everything. Just so it can say, there's more to do. But unfortunately, as a result of adding all of these features, it's managed to strip away all of the depth from the previous games and tries to just keep you busy. But in doing that, it's lost the quiet moments that give the game its character. For example, in some of the earlier games, your villagers would just up and leave. Like, leave the game for too long, and you're at risk of one of you, turning a game on and finding that one of your villagers had gotten bored and just gotten up and moved somewhere new. Even if you did play it regularly, if they decided that they were going to move, they would just go. No matter how much you begged and pleaded, they would just go. Now, however, they never leave. Never would they just up and go. They'll always come and ask you for your permission first. Meaning you have the ultimate control. So you can pick and choose the villages that fit with your island's aesthetic and make it exactly how you want. It's less about a living town and more about the town that you create. And it's not like they didn't already figure some of these issues out. My favourite game in the series is Animal Crossing New Leaf, and while the character's dialogue has a bit less depth than the earlier entries and it can feel a bit repetitive, it still managed to give you similar levels of control that something like New Horizons does, whilst maintaining the feel of life, feeling like it is living while you're not there. New Leaf had one of the biggest updates in the series' history. It added shops to unlock, public works projects, mini games to play with friends, and town approval ratings that meant that what your villagers thought of you mattered. And adding all of these different systems brought the potential of stripping away the life that the atmosphere provided, but in my opinion it really didn't. See, the main thing that they managed to get right with that game, whilst providing so much more control, was the context in which the control was added. For example, stepping into your town as the new mayor meant that suddenly all of these features didn't feel out of place. It wasn't like, just create town simulator, it was still life simulator, and emphasis was put on your fellow villagers and how they viewed the world they lived in. For example, if you built a new fountain in your town, it's because one of them had asked for it, or if you wanted to build a coffee shop, again, they asked for that too. And your contributions to the world affected them as well. Over time, Main Street would fill up with all of these different shops, or existing shops would get upgrades because of the money you were chucking into the town, and it felt like you being there affected the world. But not that you would be able to control the world. It felt like there was responsibility for you to go in every day to add your bit of something, but they carried on whilst you weren't there. If you had a public works project, they'd still donate to it while you were gone, or they might put some flowers down, and that was true for even older games, but there's less of this in New Horizons, purely because it's more emphasis on how you want to create your town and less about them affecting it. Now, I know I'm ranting a little bit about New Horizons and it all being about town creation and stuff like that, and some of this also could be childish imagination clouding my memories, but there's no denying that Animal Crossing has lost some of its original magic and has changed from what the original game aspired to be. It does feel a little bit more like just another town designing game, rather than a second world to escape in at the end of a long day. Villages used to feel unpredictable. Sometimes they were rude to you, or they were strange, or they said things that just stuck in your mind all the next day. They felt like individuals, and now they're just more polished, more friendly, more consistent, but also more predictable. They feel less like characters and personalities in their own right, and more like systems just designed to be liked. So going back to some different aspects of the original games, one of the most important factors, one of the most important things that I really enjoyed about them and gave them that life was that you could miss things. Events happened at certain times, shops closed, seasons changed, and if you weren't there for all of these different events, like the bug off, or the little fishing days, or even the flea market, which I really miss and I really hope they bring back, If you weren't there for that, you missed it. And that feeling gave everything weight. It was, this game is playing whether you are or you aren't, so be there or be square. Now, however, it seems like the games are trying to avoid that feeling. They don't want players to feel left out, so they give you more flexibility and more control over the time when you want to play your game. Because if you were to load up the game and you not be able to do a certain thing you wanted to do, you're less likely to pick it up again in the future. But that's just the thing. When nothing is missable, being there doesn't feel quite as special. Making the time, taking the time out of your day to sit down and put on Animal Crossing because you knew there was an event, it felt special. It felt like you had set up a date or a plan with one of your real life friends to go and do something. It was purposeful, what you were doing. To try and boil all of this down into a few words, it feels like at some point Animal Crossing shifted from being a place to being something that you would create. You plan the layouts, you design things efficiently, you aim for perfection, and that's not a bad thing, but it's a different thing. You know, you're not just living there anymore, you're managing it. And that doesn't mean that the new games are worse in every way. I mean, I myself have over 300 hours in New Horizons, so I definitely don't hate it. But as the games were reiterated on again and again, they became bigger and more detailed and more flexible, but they've lost something, and that something is hard to measure. That sense of independence, the sense of mystery, a sense that the world exists without you. Which is a shame, because that was really one of the things that drew me to the series in the first place. Knowing that if you had a bad day, whether it be at work or at school or with family, at life at home, doesn't matter what, you could go to this separate world and you could go and chat with your friends and just see what's going on, see what the latest gossip is, or, you know, just hang out and do whatever. And it seems like that has been pared back a little bit. The emphasis on those systems within the game have been moved, it's been shifted slightly, and it is now more on how you can build your town. Do you want to decorate it in this style or that style? Do you want to build this cliff or add this river or stuff like that? And it's less about creating your own life within it. And I do feel like that's a big shame, because I do miss that. Now, this video, this kind of topic, it's something I've thought about for a long time. New Horizons came at that perfect moment. You know, the world had just gone into lockdown and we needed friends more than ever. But to me, it felt like it was missing something. You know, it needed to feel alive, and somehow by giving players more control, it became less believable. Not because it's a worse game, but because it's a different kind of experience. You know, it's one that gives you more to do, but less to feel. But anyway, who cares what I think? For I'm only one perspective on this, so please let me know down in the comments what you think about the Animal Crossing series as a whole, what you think of their later games, whether you think, you know, what do you think they're going to do next? And let me know, because I really truly am interested to see what other people think about this. But with that, I'm going to end this video here. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this video. I'm hoping to be back with a few more consistent uploads now going forward, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye bye.